Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Happenings in the Dearborn Public Schools. I'm David Mustonen, Director of Communications for the Dearborn Public Schools. And no, we did not get kicked out of our other studio. We just switched locations because we've got a couple other guests joining us today. But as always, joining me right here, right next to me, our Superintendent of the Dearborn Public Schools, Dr. Maleyko. Glenn, how are you doing today?
Doing very well, David. Glad to
Great.
be here, and I'm glad you clarified that you did pay rent, so we
did.
didn't get kicked out of the studio, so that's good news.
That's good news. That's
Yeah.
always good news to know that we still got somewhere to go to
Yeah.
shoot this show. So, springtime of the year, and we've avoided this topic throughout the entire fall, winter, but I think it's inevitable. I think we have to get your opinion on the Red Wings.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's been a month plus in the makings of we kind of knew where they were heading. You know, the 25-year streak is going to be dissipated this year. Still a loyal fan. Went to the game the other week with my son, with my daughter and two nephews. My son was actually ill. It was probably my last game I'll see at the Joe Louis. But yeah, it's too bad that they couldn't keep the streak going. They just need to retool. I just don't think they have the offensive depth, and so maybe with the new stadium for next year, that'll bring some excitement at the new Little Caesars Stadium they're going to have. So,
Blashill, stay, go. What do you think's going to happen?
I am not sure. I would think they'll give him a little more time. That's what I would think, for a little stability. But who knows? It's a business out there, sports business too.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a business right here. Our business is education, and it's all about students. And joining us today are members of your Superintendent Student Advisory Council, and the very attractive young student at the end is actually Miss Danene Charles, who's actually a coordinator here in our district and kind of oversees this as well as several other programs. So I'll turn it over to you and let you talk a little bit about
we'll
this.
just kind of talk. I'll let them maybe introduce themselves and where they're from. I know we were trying to get a few more students from some of the different high schools, but just the way the schedules work, normally we would get maybe 2 students on the show, but we were able to get 6. We appreciate, Kurt Doley and the crew and Eric putting together and the students here to get a bigger set. So I'll let you guys kind of go around and introduce yourself, but just for the audience, the sake of the audience, I was very excited to come here today because I think this is my pride. I was in an elementary building reading to students today, and really it's about connecting with students, and you guys have really been great this year, provided me with a lot of advice. You've done a lot of good things. And, it's nice to be able to know that I can actually, in a comfort level, we can chat about things or we can just dialogue and have fun and joke a little bit, right? You guys know.
A lot.
Yes, or a lot. Yeah. So I'll let you guys kind of go around. We'll start here with Lulu.
I'm Lulu or Layaill Mustafa. I go to Dearborn High and I'm a senior.
Oh, hi, I'm Dr. Albdair. I'm a senior at Dearborn High and I'm the newest addition onto the council.
Hi, I'm Maya Lewy, and I am a sophomore here at Dearborn High.
And I'm Danene Charles. I'm the coordinator for Affective Education.
So, Ms. Charles, I'll kind of start off, if that's okay with Ms. Charles. When this concept started, almost 2 years ago now, when I was applying for superintendent, I did have it in my plan that was one of the things I wanted to bring, was to really, I felt like as adults sometimes we really needed to listen more to the students and their input and opinions of their, not only educational issues, but just school-related issues. And so, Ms. Charles, I know that you really have taken the lead on the logistical end and the coordination, and you've really been doing an outstanding job with the coordination, the connection with students. What do you see, from this year or from last year to this current year? How have you seen the program evolved, both from the excitement and or from some of the things that we've done with the program?
I think last year was our first year, so we really didn't know exactly what path to take, but we wanted to really make sure that the students had a voice. So we really went to principals and asked what were their recommendations for students. This year, we streamlined that entire process and it was online. So students had the ability to go ahead and sign up on their own. It was a very short application process because we know they're busy, especially the seniors, but they all had an opportunity to do that. And as a result, we had about 55 applications. Unfortunately, we could not select all 55 students. So last year we had about 11, this year we went with 15. And part of that is because they are high school students, not all of them drive. So we're getting them from place to place, and we don't have a nice coach bus that we can go and pick everyone up in. So we had to minimize the numbers, but there's power in the students that we have. So even though it's 15, they are powerful, they are very important in terms of giving their voice, and 3 of them are here with us right now. So I think we've done a really good job at looking at what went well last year and what can we do this year to really enhance the program. And I think that application process is definitely one of the components that we did enhance.
So for next year, if students want to apply, they're welcome to apply when it comes out, likely it would be in September, right? Is that-
Absolutely. At about September midway, we'll send those out, and we give at least 2 weeks because we know everyone is just beginning to get on board and to get acclimated. But we also let the principals know, and we're just very vocal about having students be a part of being on the board with you. And of course, I've had the opportunity to work with you before now. So this really is nothing new. You've always been inclusive. You've always wanted to include everyone at the table. And this is just an example of how students matter and that you really want to bring them and let them be a part of it because this is their district. So it's important what they think about what we're doing moving forward.
And I know one of the things too we've allowed is that if a student was on it, once they were accepted, they could be on for multiple years, so they don't necessarily have to reapply their automatic seat. And Lulu, you're an example of, you've been on it 2 years. What has been your experience, and what maybe your favorite thing that you've done within the advisory council? I know that we have a history too because you were a 5th grade student when I was principal at Duval. And I know Maya as well was a student at Duval when I was principal there. So I don't know, is there anything you wanted to, maybe share about the council and your experience?
I think it's kind of interesting to see it from last year to this year because it has evolved. And I think because what you said, Ms. Charles, how last year we didn't know exactly what we wanted it to be. We just wanted to have a voice. And I felt like I did have a voice last year, but now with like a year under our belt sort of with the entire program, I feel that it's getting stronger and like it's a more comfortable setting and there's more voice. And one of my favorite things that we do is Rotary Month. Yeah. I really like, maybe it's the lunch.
Well, food is important,
Right to the chase, just be honest here.
So we got to do it 2 years, and I actually really like it. I feel it's a really good networking opportunity, and it's also just a lot of fun to meet these people with these great stories, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for the advisory council.
And I think that's a really different demographic who maybe a lot of the people who are in the Rotary, even if they're, and I want to say younger, and I mean like my age, like, not like really old, but, kind of old. But anyway, they may no longer have kids in school, is what I'm getting at. Mm-hmm. And this is a great opportunity for them to connect with our students and kind of get a glimpse of some of the things that are going on in our schools as you guys share your stories with them. Because believe me, as much as you get out of it and connecting with them and networking with them, they're going home and saying the same thing. Oh my gosh, I met these great kids today, and and they shared this great experiences that are going on in their schools. So I think that's back and forth that really works.
And I think it also serves, I call them seasoned adults. Not that they're veterans or older, but they're just seasoned. And it also speaks to that service has no age. So we have the teenagers who are there with them, but we have older people who are there, but yet it's about advocacy and helping other people. And that's something that we've really stressed as a part of our second year, is really reaching out into the community, building those partnerships, and what else can I do beyond the school wall? And I think that's been the added component for this year.
What can we do? So Tuktom, you have, you were added part of the way through the year, right? We actually had someone that couldn't fulfill the duties, and I know that you were very excited to be on the council. And so you were actually an appointee directly by me.
Yes, the first.
Normally I don't go through an
Very first.
application, and you're the first one. And you and I kind of got to know each other from the Dearborn High football game
Yeah.
when we were taking some selfies and other things, and you were showing me how to be a little more efficient, I think, on my cell phone with Twitter and
tweet
other
better, that's
and
why.
tweet better. And I do get a few tweets from her every now and then. Never late at night or anything like
No,
that.
they're always before like 7 p.m.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, yeah,
In a
right.
reasonable amount of time.
Except if it's maybe a snow day or
If
something.
it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
snow day, you're gonna want to like midnight just to make sure I'm asleep or not. That's what.
So, but I mean, I know one of the times we were, and we have the WhatsApp, so the communications and the social media, but we are on Twitter on the Messenger because you wanted me to come, for a student-led initiative event here at Dearborn High, and I was happy to participate. But I know you haven't been on here as long as Lulu, but what has been your experience? What do you think about the council?
I started during Youth Month, so that was a good, introduction into the advisory council because I got to see what you guys actually did. It was all sudden though, because I just kind of popped right in and no one really knew I was new, so they expected me to know everything.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just like, okay, I don't know what's going on, but I followed through it. But like as like a student, even before the council, I always had ideas like, okay, we should do this or we should do that, and it's some things that are bigger than what you can tell your teachers or tell your principal, and usually it's you that we specifically can talk to about it. And so then realizing like, well, I'm on the council now, I can, like, if I had an idea, I'm like, okay, like this is something I know could really improve Dearborn High or could really improve other schools. So it always comes to mind. I always like want to mention it, like, oh, we should do this, because now it's like a direct voice instead of having to go through 5 different people to let out the message. It's like one straight line of, hey, this is my idea. What do you think about it? And so that was like the thing that I liked the most. And as like the year goes on, as more events go on and the meetings go on, I just noticed like a bunch of students with a bunch of voices. And it's like, okay, like we're all getting heard and we're all getting, because I'm, for one, I have a lot of ideas and I always feel the need to tell someone. And so now,
No,
That's never like you.
I know it doesn't seem like it, but I always want to tell you guys what I'm thinking. Like, I know it's, yeah.
Okay.
Whatever. But so I always I realize now okay, I have an idea and I can always tell someone and I can always expand it in something. And it's not even just that like my little brother who's a freshman was like, oh, what if we do this in Dearborn High? What if we do this? And I'll be like, oh, okay, like I can actually, this can actually happen if it's done correctly. And then I can always say, what do you guys think and how do you guys see it?
Well, I know we just last week had a real nice dialogue on healthy Dearborn, and some ideas. And we had the director of food services here with the executive director, Tom Wall, and we were dialoguing on some ways to maybe help increase both choice and health. And I think it was a good dialogue. And we're really seriously taking all that input, and I know they're interested in a further dialogue. So that might be an example of, one area where it was comfortable. And that's where, for me, is... and Ms. Charles and I are kind of gotten on the same page here, is that, I'll do my agenda items that I want to share with them, but then I want to listen to them more. Actually, I'm trying to do less of the talking and more of the listening, and that's the part that I enjoy. And I just enjoy a little bit of the socializing over lunch and things, but, I think the students also have become comfortable with one another, so it's good to see that, and the team collaboration. So Maya, what about you? What are your thoughts on the council?
I always love our meetings because they're so transparent. Just the way you guys share things with us, even though we're students, we're treated as adults, And I love the council just because we get to go out into the community with Youth Month and the rallies and everything. And we just get to explore ourselves and the community.
And there's examples. They've participated like in the pro-public education rally that we
Right.
had at ASC with the union's involvement and the
Yeah.
students, and I know you were there to speak, and I know others were there. And then the other one, Korematsu Day. Ms. Charles, maybe, and we can let them maybe, where did that, that originated by last year's council from what I recall. And I don't know if you want to mention anything about that, or if the students want to
I can
jump
talk
in.
about just a little bit, but we really started during our May meeting. Trustee Mary Lane brought it to us, and we ran with it. We really wanted to do it because it was about civil rights, but it showed more of a different picture and through a different lens. It just wasn't an Arab American lens or an African American lens, but through the Japanese American lens. So we were able to hold the event at Fordson High School, and the students came out, and the team was just awesome. I think that the students really understood that it's about all of us coming together and standing up for one another, and not just one group against the other, but that we have to unite. So we had an opportunity really to participate in something that was not maybe a Dearborn born event, but it came from somewhere else, but we were still able to relate and make that accessible to our students. And I think that's so important, that the console is really about equity and accessing everything that we have to show people that we are united, we have the real Dearborn, but all of these different components are working together to really show that we are diverse and we're proud of who we are as a community and as a school district.
And I think the timing of that was really, I mean, it had,
Yeah.
the planning started last May, but it
May.
didn't just happen that was the week of new executive orders that were passed. And what
Yes.
we don't get involved in the political side, that's not our job in the school system, but what we do is support our students. And we sent a clear message that regardless of race, ethnicity, culture, whatever it may be, that we were gonna, immigration status, we're gonna support our children. And I know there was a lot of communications that went out, but I guess it was just kind of that timing that the student council, the advisory council actually had some of the foresight for who could predict the future. And I think it tried to
right.
maybe ease some of the feelings, and it just showed some of the history that occurred in the US and allowed us to kind of stand up and say, well, we support our students, and our students led this. So we support you. You guys were also part of that real Dearborn, march as well. And, the other thing that they suggested, David, we're considering this, and I don't know if you're.
Just considering.
Well, we're considering it, but we may, I think we're gonna follow their recommend, but you guys talked about at one of the meetings, and it's evolved, starting a little younger. Maybe, we've talked a little bit about the middle school. I don't know if anybody wants to
Yeah.
comment on that?
Do you want me? Okay.
You're on.
We talked about middle schoolers joining the supervisory council, just so we can get more of a wider view of what's going on. Because I can't speak for my sister in 8th grade, and I can't speak for someone who goes to O.L. Smith or goes to Bryan, because I don't know any students there. So having one student from each school, it gives you a wider view and a wider viewpoint of who's going, like what's going on there, what do they need, what are some ideas they have. Because I don't know if anyone's noticed, but the middle schools do a lot. They have theater and they have their music and they have all these sports. So they're very successful, and they bring that success into high school. And we don't really appreciate them or realize that success starts in middle school, because when they come to high school, it's okay, now you're special. But it all starts, from these schools. Stout has this, their musicals, they have the Aladdin musicals, and it brings such talent out. And then Bryant has these very intelligent students and very athletic students as well, and then they come into high school, and so you see Dearborn High is filled with a variety of very spectacular students. And now if we have the superintendent council there, we can do a lot more of, okay, what should we do with them, and how should we help them, and how can we include them into our events? Because imagine how Dearborn Public Schools would look like if we had a council of more than just Dearborn, Fortson, and Etzel, but all the middle schools tied in.
And I know with the council, it's also the special programs too, we got the Henry Ford College and that at the high school level, and Magnet, and through the Berry Center, DCMST. But yeah, I get what you're saying with the middle school. You wanted to add something?
Yeah, I think also, I think middle school is such a crucial age for kids, and it's really where kids are shaped a lot into who they're going to be in high school. So I think having the advisory council in middle school would give them sort of a voice and make them feel powerful at a young age. So that's really important, because when you go into high school and you're a freshman, it's scary, it's overwhelming. So if we sort of implement that confidence in them, and which I think the advisory council has the power to do, when they go into high school, they'll be more confident, and they know they have a voice regardless of what grade they're in or what age they're in, and that we want to hear what they have to say.
So quickly here, as we kind of run out of time and wrap things up a little bit, I want to start over here with Mia. So because we're going to, obviously some of you are seniors, and we're going to need new replacements, and we had 55 apply last year, we'd like to have 155 apply next year. Just quickly, I'm going to start with you, and just in a few words, what would you say to any students who may be catching this? Why should they join and be part of this council?
Just it adds so much dynamic to you as a person.
It gives you a voice that you don't think you've ever had.
Allows you to embrace diversity.
Great. There you go. Recruitment video. We got it.
Awesome.
It's a wrap.
And we've got to have a little fun with this too. You know, one of the jokes that we've had, and Dr. Soiden is a good sport. I know she won't mind us mentioning this since she's not here.
Not at
all.
By the way,
It's her
she's
fault.
been on the show quite a bit lately, haven't you guys?
Yes.
On other programs.
Yes.
But anyway, I think she's been a good sport because she didn't
has.
want to get on the camera. Last year when we presented, she didn't want to get into the presentation. So at the real Dearborn March, they actually put her on the center of it. And so the students have gotten accustomed to whenever she tries to volunteer not to, that we put her right in the front. But really, it's all in good,
It
positive
is.
fun. And she's a good sport about it. And that's just some of the camaraderie you get.
That builds.
Both builds over time. So we appreciate her a lot. So we all appreciate Dr. Soiden.
Yeah.
We do, and we miss her today.
And I know she'll love the fact that we mentioned it. Well,
Absolutely.
yes.
Next meeting, we need to get an individual picture of her alone.
Yeah, there we go.
We're gonna bring a
We
little
could,
cardboard cutout of her.
Cutout, and just
Just keep it
lay
right on
it
the
out there
center.
for everyone to see.
There we
I
go.
love it.
You guys have to suggest that though.
Have the
Don't tell
best
her.
idea.
And you did. We have it on tape. She
That's
suggested it. It wasn't me.
Perfect. It's student, it came from the students.
Yes. Hey.
That's,
You know,
that's what
that's-
student-led really
that's a
is.
Nobody wants to hear
student-led-
student voices, so.
It's a student-led initiative right there. Thank you all for joining us. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Glenn, thank you.
Thank
once
you.
again.
Thank you.
And thank you for taking a few moments to hear about just another great thing taking place in the Dearborn Public Schools. Remember, you can catch us on YouTube. You can catch us on Channel 19. We are all over the place. And we are always here to tell you kind of what's happening in the Dearborn Public Schools.